Level 1. The pride. You are 34 years old. You just became the first person in your entire family to reach $1 million. And for one brief, shining moment, before anything changes, it is the happiest news your family has ever received. It's a Sunday, and you are at your parents' house, the same modest house you grew up in, and you have just told them. Your mother's eyes fill. Your father, a man who worked with his hands his whole life and never once had real money, shakes his head slowly, unable to quite believe that his kid did it. And your younger brother, Danny, the one you shared a bedroom with, who knows exactly where you started, grins the widest grin you have ever seen and pulls you into a hug and says he always knew. He always knew you would be the one. Nobody in your bloodline has ever had this. Not your grandparents, who worked until their bodies gave out. Not your parents, who counted every dollar. You are the first, the one who broke through. And in this moment, the whole family glows with a pride so pure and uncomplicated that you will spend years afterward trying to get back to it. This is the first thing nobody tells you about being the first millionaire in your family. The pride is real, and it is beautiful. And it is the last uncomplicated thing you will ever feel about your money and your family together. Because in this moment, before the requests and the resentments and the slow, strange distances, your success belongs to everyone. You are not the rich one yet, not the outsider, not the bank. You are just their boy who made good. And the whole family stands a little taller because of you. And there is nothing underneath it but love. Hold on to the memory of this day. You are going to need it, because the pride, in its pure form, does not survive contact with what comes next. You drive home that night lighter than you have ever been. You did it. You lifted your whole family just by lifting yourself, or so you believe, on this one perfect night. Before you learn how much more complicated it is going to be. The verb at level 1 is celebrate. They celebrate you, purely, with a joy that has nothing underneath it but love. Celebrating at this level is the sweetest moment of the whole journey, and the last time your success and your family will ever be simple. Because you are about to learn that money changes everything it touches, including the people who love you most. Level 2. The ask. It starts small, a few weeks later, so small you barely notice it, and then it never fully stops. An aunt mentions, half joking, that you could buy her a house now. A cousin calls, warmer than he has been in years, and eventually gets around to the reason. Your parents would never ask directly, but you see the roof that needs repair, the car that is failing, and you understand that the asking has begun, sometimes spoken, sometimes just left in the air for you to notice. At first you are glad to help, because this is what you wanted, isn't it? To be able to take care of the people you love. But the requests have a way of multiplying, because word travels in a family. And once you are known as the one with money, a quiet line begins to form, and you realize that your role has shifted. You are no longer only a son, a brother, a cousin. You have become, to some of them, a source. And the asks change how you hear from people, which is its own quiet grief. The relative who only calls when they need something. The friend of the family who suddenly remembers you exist. You start to notice a pattern in who reaches out, and when, and you begin, against your will, to listen for the real reason behind the friendly opening, waiting for the turn in the conversation. The moment the warmth resolves into a request, it makes you guarded in a way you never used to be. Scanning the people you love for motive, and hating yourself a little for doing it, because most of them mean no harm at all. And yet you can no longer fully unhear the question sitting underneath the hello. This is the second thing nobody tells you about being the first millionaire in your family. The moment you have real money, you become a resource, and the requests will come, and they will keep coming. Most of them are not greedy, not really. They come from real need, from people who genuinely struggle, who see someone they love with more than enough and cannot understand why you would not share it. Because in a family where everyone was always roughly equal, the sudden appearance of someone who can solve problems changes what people feel entitled to ask. And you will face, again and again, an impossible little math, the calculation of what you can give without being drained, what you can refuse without being hated. Where the line is between generosity and being treated as a bank, a line no one ever taught you to draw. Because no one in your family ever had to. You say yes to some and no to others, and you feel guilty about both. The yes cost you money. The no's cost you something harder to name. The verb at level 2 is ask. They ask you, gently and constantly, for what you now have. Being asked at this level means discovering that money turns you into a resource in the eyes of the people you love, and that the hardest part is not the giving, but the endless, unwinnable task of deciding where generosity ends and being used begins. Level 3. The resentment. You are still the same person, but some of the people who cheered the loudest have gone quiet. And in the quiet, you can feel something you never expected from your own family, which is resentment. It does not come from all of them, but it comes. And it comes from places that hurt. It is the sibling who used to be your equal and now cannot quite meet your eye. It is the relative who responds to your good news with a flat congratulations and a quick change of subject. It is the small digs, the jokes with an edge, the suggestion that you got lucky, that you changed, that you think you are better than them now. And it is Danny, your brother, who was the proudest of anyone on that first night, and who now, a year on, has grown a little cooler, a little quieter, because your success has become a mirror he does not enjoy looking into. A daily reminder of a road he did not take. He loves you. He also, in a part of himself he would never admit to, cannot stand what your winning says about his own life. This is the third thing nobody tells you about being the first millionaire in your family. Your success will be experienced by some of the people closest to you not as your victory, but as their indictment, and there is very little you can do to soften it. When you rise out of the world you all came from, you become living proof that it was possible, and that proof is unbearable to anyone who told themselves it was not, who needs to believe the game was rigged, the odds impossible, the exit sealed. You did not judge them. You do not have to. Your mere existence, thriving, does the judging for you, silently. Every time they see you, and the ones who cannot bear it will pull away or push back or diminish what you did, not because they are bad people, but because your success asks a question about their own choices that they cannot answer. You try to stay humble, to downplay it, to be the same as you always were. It does not help. The resentment is not about how you act. It is about what you now represent. The verb at level 3 is resent. They resent you, some of them, for the questions your success asks about their own lives. Being resented at this level means learning that rising out of your family can feel to those left behind like an accusation, and that the people who cannot be happy for you are usually not cruel, only confronted by your winning with a door they had told themselves was locked. Level 4. The drift. You are the same, and they are the same, but something has come between you and some of them, a subtle distance that no one names and no one intended. And slowly the closeness starts to drift. The conversations get a little more careful. People edit themselves around you now, worried about complaining about money to someone who has it, unsure whether to invite you to the cheap thing, wondering if you would even want to come. You feel it too, from your side, the moments you bite your tongue. The parts of your life you no longer share because they would land wrong. The trips and the purchases you keep quiet about to avoid the flicker of distance in someone's eyes. And bit by bit, a gap opens, not from any single fight, not from anyone's malice, but from 1,000 tiny adjustments. Until you look up one day and realize you are slightly outside the family now, orbiting it, present at the gatherings, but not quite woven into them the way you used to be. What makes it so hard is that there is no one to blame and nothing to fix. No one slammed a door. No one said an unkind word. If you tried to point to the moment it changed, you could not find it, because it did not happen in a moment. It happened in a slow accumulation of small silences, of topics quietly avoided, of jokes that no longer land the same way. You cannot confront a drift. You cannot sit someone down and resolve a distance that no one will even admit exists. You can only watch it widen, gently, year by year, and feel the particular ache of missing people who are still right there in the room with you. This is the fourth thing nobody tells you about being the first millionaire in your family. Money introduces a distance that no one chooses and no one can quite close, because it makes both sides self-conscious in a relationship that used to be effortless. They are careful around your wealth. You are careful around their lack of it. And care, however kind, is the opposite of the easy, unguarded closeness you used to have. The closeness of people who assumed they were the same. You are not treated as the same anymore. Not because anyone decided to exclude you, but because the shared condition that made you family in the ordinary daily sense, all of you in the same boat, has quietly ended, and you are, whether anyone says it or not, no longer in the same boat as the people you grew up with. You leave a family gathering and feel, for the first time, like a guest at it. Everyone was warm. Everyone was kind. And you drove home aware of a pane of glass that was never there before. The verb at level 4 is drift. They drift, and you drift, into a carefulness that neither of you wanted. Drifting at this level means watching effortless closeness turn into something guarded and polite, and learning that money makes both sides self-conscious. Ending the simple sameness that once made you belong without having to think about it. Level 5. The guilt. You are doing well, better every year, and a new pressure has entered the family air, quiet and heavy, which is the sense that your success is not really yours, that you owe it, that it belongs to all of them. It arrives in phrases that sound like wisdom. Don't forget where you came from. Family takes care of family. After everything we did for you, it arrives as a moral weight laid gently across your shoulders. The expectation that because you made it, you are now responsible, not just for yourself, but for everyone. And that any limit you set, any no you speak, any wealth you keep for your own life, is a small betrayal of the people and the place that raised you. The guilt is powerful precisely because there is truth in it. They did help you. You did come from somewhere. You do love them. And so when the obligation is invoked, you cannot simply dismiss it, and you find yourself giving not from generosity, but from guilt, which is a very different and much heavier thing. This is the 5th thing nobody tells you about being the first millionaire in your family. Your success will be reframed, subtly, as a debt. And the debt will be collected in the currency of guilt. You will be reminded of where you came from in the exact moments you are deciding whether to give. And the reminder will be true, which is what makes it so hard to resist. But here is the trap inside it. A gift given from guilt is not a gift, it is a payment. And payments never end, because guilt has no natural limit, no point at which the debt is marked paid in full. The people who survive this learn, painfully, that they can honor where they came from without surrendering everything they built. That love and obligation are not the same thing. And that saying no to a request is not the same as betraying your roots, no matter how it is made to feel. You give again, and this time it does not feel like love. It feels like a bill. And you begin to understand that guilt, left unchecked, will quietly bankrupt you, in more ways than one. The verb at level 5 is obligate. They obligate you, reframing your success as a debt you owe the family. Being obligated at this level means having your generosity extracted through guilt rather than offered freely, and learning the hard difference between honoring where you came from and being held hostage by it. Level 6. The bank. Years in now, your role has hardened into something permanent, something you never applied for and cannot resign from, which is the family bank. When a car dies, they call you. When rent is short, they call you. When the medical bill comes, the tuition, the emergency, the crisis, they call you, because you are the one who can fix it. And over time, the fixing stops being an act of love and becomes an expectation, a utility, something the family simply runs on now, the way it runs on electricity. And the strangest part is how quickly the gratitude fades. The first time you help, they are moved. By the 10th time, it is just what you do, barely acknowledged. Because a safety net is not thanked, it is assumed. You have become infrastructure. Your money has been absorbed into the operating system of the entire family, and the role, once it hardens, is nearly impossible to step out of, because stepping out now would mean letting people you love fall. This is the 6th thing nobody tells you about being the first millionaire in your family. Given enough time, you stop being a person who helps and become a system that is relied upon, and the difference between those two things is enormous. Help is occasional, chosen, and appreciated. Reliance is constant, assumed, and invisible. You wanted to be able to catch your family when they fell, and you can, and it is a genuine gift you are able to give. But you did not understand that becoming the permanent catch would quietly change how everyone stands, that a family with a safety net takes different risks, makes different choices, leans in a way it did not before, and that you would spend the rest of your life holding a weight that only grows heavier and that you can never quite put down. Because the people hanging from it are the people you love. And a quiet resentment can grow in you, which surprises and shames you. Because you never wanted to be the kind of person who counts what he gives to his own family. But counting is what happens when giving becomes an obligation with no end. And you start to feel it, The low burn of being needed for your wallet more reliably than you are wanted for yourself. Of wondering whether the calls would still come if the money ever stopped. You push the thought away. You help anyway. But it sits there, underneath, the ugly little question you can never quite silence. Of whether they love you, or love what you can do for them, and the harder truth that you may never be able to tell the difference. You pay the bill, again, without being asked twice. No one says thank you anymore. It is simply what you are for now. The verb at level 6 is depend. They depend on you, permanently, as the thing that catches them. Being depended on at this level means watching your generosity harden into infrastructure, thanked at first, and then simply assumed. Until you are less a person to your family than a function it has come to run on. Level 7. The gap. You are, by every measure, a success, and you have everything you set out to get, and you have made a discovery that no amount of it can fix, which is that you can never fully go home again. Think about Danny, your brother, the one who hugged you on that first perfect night, who shared a bedroom with you, who knew you before any of this, back when you were just two kids from the same small house with the same small odds. You can still see him. You still love each other. But there is a gap between you now that neither of you can cross. Built not from any fight, but from the simple fact that you went through a door and he did not, and the door only opens one way. You have money he cannot imagine, worries he will never have, a life he cannot fully picture, and he has a whole world of shared struggle that you have quietly left behind. You can give him money. You do. But you cannot give him back the thing you both lost, which is the feeling of being the same, two brothers in the same boat, facing the same odds, belonging to each other without any of this in the way. This is the 7th thing nobody tells you about being the first millionaire in your family, and it is the one that hurts the most. The door out of the world you came from only opens one way. You can lift your family with money, and you should, and it is one of the finest things you will ever do. But you cannot rejoin them. The very act of leaving, of rising, of becoming the first, carried you across a line you cannot uncross, out of the shared condition that made belonging effortless, and into a permanent, gentle, loving apartness, the position of the one who made it. Welcome at every table and fully at home at none of them. And here, finally, is the thing underneath all 7 levels. At every one of them, your family was responding not to you, but to what your money made you into, a hope, a source, a mirror, a debt, a bank, a symbol of the door they did not walk through. The person, the actual you, got a little lost behind all of it. And the cruelest part is that you did nothing wrong. You did exactly what they raised you to do. You made it out. You just did not know that making it out meant you could never fully come back in. The verb at level 7 is return, and it is the one thing you can never quite do. Returning is the door that only opened one way, the home you can visit but never again fully live in, and the final, quiet price of becoming the first, which is that you can spend your whole fortune lifting the people you love and still never buy your way back to simply being one of them. So let's pull this together. At level 1, they celebrate you, purely, in the last simple moment your success and your family will ever share. At level 2, they ask you, gently and endlessly, until you become a resource instead of only a son. At level 3, they resent you, some of them, because your rising asks a question about their own lives they cannot answer. At level 4, they drift into a careful distance that neither side chose and no one can quite close. At level 5, they obligate you, reframing your success as a debt to be collected in guilt. At level 6, they depend on you, until your generosity hardens into infrastructure no one even thanks. At level 7, you discover the door only opened one way, and you can never fully return. Here is the thing nobody on YouTube will tell you about becoming the first millionaire in your family. You think becoming the first will let you lift everyone, earn their pride, and bring the family closer. And part of it does exactly that, and that part is beautiful and worth everything. But nobody warns you that money does not just change your life, it changes your place in the family, because a family is a system that was quietly balanced around everyone being roughly equal. And you introduced an asymmetry that reorganizes every relationship in it. You stop being simply a brother or a son and become, to different people, a hope, a threat, a resource, a debt, a bank, a symbol of the escape they did not make. Most of them still love you. This is the part the bitter voices get wrong. Your family is not a pack of leeches. And the ones who ask and resent and lean are not villains. They are human beings reacting, mostly without meaning to a genuinely disorienting change that you, by succeeding, introduced into a world built on all of you being the same. And underneath all of it is the hardest truth of upward mobility, the one almost no one says out loud. You can climb out, and you can reach back down to lift the people you love, but you cannot climb back in. The door only opens one way. The shared struggle that made you belong to each other without thinking, the sameness, the same boat, ends the moment you step out of it, and no amount of money or love fully restores it. Becoming the first is a kind of leaving, even when you never move away, even when you love them as much as ever. And the grief of that leaving is a real cost that comes bundled, invisibly, with the win. So if you are climbing toward this, chasing the day you become the first, keep going. Because lifting your family is one of the most meaningful things wealth can ever do. But go in with your eyes open. Set your boundaries before the money arrives. Decide in advance what you will and will not do. And above all, do not let money become the only language between you and the people you love. Because the relationships that survive this are the ones where love was always the real currency. And if you are already there, living the strange, quiet grief of it, understand that it is not your fault and it is not entirely theirs. Grieve the simple belonging that is gone, because it is a real loss and it deserves to be mourned. Set the limits that keep you from being drained. And hold on, tightly, to the few who love you across the gap exactly as they did before it opened. Because money tested those bonds, and they held. And a bond that survives money is the rarest and most valuable thing your fortune will ever reveal. It's a Sunday, and somewhere a 34-year-old is standing in the modest house they grew up in, having just told their family that they became the first. Watching their mother's eyes fill and their brother grin the widest grin they have ever seen, glowing in a pride so pure they do not yet know it will never be this simple again. They do not yet know that the requests are coming, and the resentment, and the slow, careful distances, and the guilt dressed up as wisdom. And the day their generosity hardens into a thing no one thanks. They do not know that the door they just walked through only opens one way. They think becoming the first means they can finally bring everyone with them. They are about to learn that they can lift their family higher than anyone ever dreamed, and still never quite make it back to the simple belonging of this one perfect night. There are 7 ways your family will treat you when you become the first. 6 of them will surprise you and hurt in ways you did not expect, and the 7th is the one that lasts, the quiet gap that money opens and love alone cannot close. But there is grace in it too, because the bonds that survive the money are the ones that were never about it, and those become more precious than any amount you will ever earn. If this video changed how you think about money and family, hit subscribe. We have more videos like this on the channel, each one pulling apart a piece of what wealth really does to a life. Underneath the story we are usually sold. See you in the next one.